Hello there, and welcome to Terra Tech Worlds. And today we're going to go over what is the best cab and why, and what's the best modifiers for our tech, and how do we build a nice big beast that's going to be functional and work and get the best of all of our modifiers and our blocks. And of course, I'm going to answer all the whys as we're going around there. And the first thing you want to do is hit K, and you can see your firing arcs on here. So you can see our firing arcs. It's kind of limited on our big rifles right here, but they do a lot of damage in their long range for themselves. It doesn't look like I have a lot of guns, but they are very powerful because they are buffed up a lot. This one here has plus 6 to turbo total on here, but it has nanobot repair and armor up nice and high. And then on this bottom cannon right here, let's go hit K again to get rid of that stuff, so we can see this. Yeah, we have plus 8 turbo on it, and then we got 12 nanobot repair and 8 armor on the thing. So yeah, we have a lot of defense just by doing nothing. That's going to give us buffs by adding some of these axles that we've added to our build. So let's get started on the explanation on the best cab and all that stuff. So let's start a new tech and show you what I mean and go over this so you know what you're getting into in this game. We have this scout cab right here. Sorry, I didn't mean to actually use it. We have the scout cab right here, and we can go over the numbers right here. We got at the top there, the reload, that doesn't matter. We have our our weight and our health on there. That doesn't matter too much. It's our reactor capacity of 125 and our efficiency points. They should be closer together because they really are the same thing. You can have a total of like 225 stuff on there for your buffs. And then the next one there is going to be your reactor load, -1 for all hull types. So the block has to say hull type, and then it gets a -1. And that -1, I don't think it actually affects that efficiency number. It's a special one right there for reactor load. The other ones don't really have that on there for them. But yeah, this is reactor load, reactor load, reactor load, and these ones here are for combat. Hull, and then combat ones. Sorry, let's not get tongue-tied too badly. But then we have the navigator cab, your second cab you're going to get. It has nanobot repair +3 also. Yeah, and that increases your repair speed, obviously, but I wish they did actually show you that and whole thing. Nanobot repair was to do, it increases your repair speed a lot faster. And that's for all blocks. That's the important part, is reading that fine text on our cabs. Next, we're going to go over and check out the Centurion cab. People might like this one the most because, it has that maximum reactor capacity efficiency of 400 for the techs that we have available to us at the moment. And it has the best energy regen on there. It's almost 300 energy regen a second, and this one's only 275, I think, right? So it's not that too much. It's not too much more, and it has very low batteries on there, so it's not even worth it in the long run. But yeah, it has the recycle on there and the armor, but that only takes effect when you take damage. So yeah, that +3 armor doesn't do anything until you get hit, and then they have to hit that block again, and then you'll have extra armor on there, and then you have that recycle on there too when you take damage, and that doesn't really say what recycle does too much on there for you. You can just repairs and fix it itself or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, that only takes effect if you take damage, and we don't like that. That's not going to help us. If it was actually nanobot repair, which would make sense. Oh, you take damage, you repair faster. And there you go. And maybe a duration, but no, it doesn't do that. And then we go over to this Crab XL cab. Yeah, it's got the that max 400 total on our stuff. It's another combat one. It's got 3 stats of +5, but you have to have your blocks detached by damage. So you got to actually take a lot of damage and have something blow up first, blow off your tech before you actually get those buffs. No, we don't want that. Then we can just ignore this whole cab altogether as a waste of time. We can go over to this engineering cab. Oh, it doesn't quite have that 400. We're looking at 360, not high enough. It has lots of buffs, 4 +4. That's not bad, and they all seem pretty good for their buffs. But the fine text says it is only directly connected to this block, so they have to be directly connected, and that's not all. So that leaves us the heavy hauler cab as the best cab for us. It has that 400 total on the cab for the capacity for our stuff, but it's +4 to turbo and amplify to all your blocks as long as you're over 4,000 weight, and that is so easy to do. It's going to be hard to actually get under 4,000 and actually have some carry weight and some actual weapons like lasers, mining lasers and stuff like that, and some weapons and wheels on there. You're going to hit 4,000 and without a problem whatsoever. And it's got 1,000 hit points too. So these other ones have like 400 and 400. Even this cab has 800 is more, but yeah, it has 1,000. It is a little bit heavy, but that's okay because we get all the other bonuses right there. And that's what we're going to start off with our build. So let's go there and do the first snapshot right here on the my first stage. So let's load this up and show you what we got here for our build. And so let's go out there and take some of the stuff off there so we can see it, because I don't want to build everything from scratch. That would take forever. Let's just take off the storage areas, and we'll take off these big battery packs, and then that'll be good enough for now. Get in there. Go away. There you go. And now we can see what we have that we're working with. So all we did was added our frames, and we added some wheels, and we added some axles and some little bit more boosters and modifiers. So let's go over that now and why on our tech. So one of the first things you might want to start adding for your stuff is these modifiers, and that is using these frames right here. And then we have some more frames down there. And obviously, you can see I am using this Kestrel frame, and I'm using 4 of them connected together in this big build because I thought that would be the best for getting all the buffs out of it. You have that reaction load -12. That actually just affects your efficiency. It doesn't affect your total stuff. So once you get your efficiencies maxed up, it just goes into your reactor capacity for that stuff. That's how that system works. So that doesn't really matter. That's why I just look at the total. Total's 400. There you go. I don't worry about the efficiency because I'm going to get it eventually by using these weapons mounts. Or the axles or the frames. It doesn't matter either way. All of these frames have the same -12 for your wheels, and so do the axles. Well, the small one only has -6 because you get that one really early on for reaction load for your stuff. You don't really get big wheels anyways that take a lot of reaction load anyways for their stuff, and so both saving space. But we can go over the top of these frames, and why is this the best? Well, this one here only has superconductor and armor when they're connected, and this one here has +3 to superconductive and recycle, but you got to be moving. That's not bad, but there's no connections on the bottom here, right? So that's going to be a bad handicap, and we don't like that for our stuff. And it's also just while we're moving, and there's no turbo on there, and we want turbo because that affects our weapons and our wheels, and that's what we want to get going on there. We want to be faster, and we want to be faster, shoot faster and move faster, right? And then we have this Wolverine frame. This is one of the better frames out there. It's got like +5 to that nanobot repair and +1 to amplify. Is not as okay to have for a stat, it's just, it's an okay one to have, but yeah, there's no connections on the bottom once again. It would be so much better if it actually had connections on the bottom. Then you could maybe flip this over and use wheels on the bottom and stack it up sideways or this way a lot and just keep adding a whole bunch of wheels, but it doesn't work out too well. Then we have the Armadillo frame. That's another rare one to get. I haven't really gotten many of those, just the one obviously, but that's only +4 armor, and that only affects when you're not moving. It doesn't affect all blocks. None of these things are going to affect all blocks anymore. But that's why we're using the Kestrel frame. It does take a lot on reaction load, 7, and these other ones here are 5. So we're using a lot more load on this, especially using 4 of them. But the +2 turbo and the way this thing works out for its build is nice because it's got connections on the bottom, it's got connections on the side and the top. It's got connections everywhere, which is nice. And all we did was stick 4 of these together for our build. So yeah, we can just zoom out here for a second and connect them like so, and connect it like that, and there is our frame. So that is the framework that you start with. It's just building a nice simple frame like this, and as you can see, it works out nicely at the end of the day. And then it works good for weapons mounts too, right? So that +2 turbo, that's what you get off of this right here. This is the weapon mounts that gives you +2 turbo. Now this is all basically the whole frame right here is basically all of it is a weapon mount, and all this size there. We got tons of room for weapons, but where we're going to stack our weapons is on the front using these axles right here. And that's the other buff that we can use for our stuff. But most of these things are no good. Like this axle right here, bad connections, only +10 turbo when you actually detached by damage, and we're not aiming for that. +2 turbo, that's what we're aiming for, but the connections are pretty bad on there. And +1 turbo, yeah, but we want more. This one only has +1 turbo, but it has +2 to armor and +3 to nanobot repair, making it a good frontline defense system for your thing. And that's why I got those on the front and the back, and I double stacked them. So we got 2 of them right here side by side. I know one of them's touching the frame, so the frame is getting the buff. The other one's touching the wheels, and the wheel gets double buffed, and the wheel gets buffed by the frame. So yeah, it's getting all that turbo. That's why it gets +4 from that, +4 from the cab. Doesn't have to be touching it. I always have to get that weight. So yeah, 8 turbo on there, extra armor, nanobot repairs nice and high, and that is just the simple starter and connections that we did. just by adding these couple of these axles to the frame. So there's the frame connection right there. You stick that on there. Then you stick the wheel on. I think you can stick the wheel on the side too. Yeah, that's going on there. It's only that middle one there is only connected to the side right now for our connection for our wheel. So you got to put that wheel on first, and you got to make sure you have connections for it. And that's why one of the reasons why we're using these big wheels right here. But yeah, all the stuff here adds up and stacks up. All the connections add on for everything that we're doing for our tech on there. And then on the bottom for the wheels, before we get to explain why we get the wheels, we have some more of these versatile axles on the inside of this our track right there. And as you can see, they're affecting multiple wheels, and our middle wheel gets double buffed from both of these these axles and the frames too. So that middle wheel, that's why it's so buffed up on that middle wheel, because it's getting everything from all of these things. And then we have these extra weapon mounts on the middle right here. So this little clearance mount right here, gives you +2 turbo. Why not put it in there? It only costs you 2 reactor load to give you +2 turbo on both sides, so that is nice. So that gives you +2 that wheel, and this middle wheel gets 2 turbos on both sides, right? And then there's still room for more. Like I got room for more here, and this little weapons mount right here, and one more load, one more turbo, and some recycle on there. And so we can stick these on there if we have some more room for ourselves, and flip that over. There you go. And then we can flip that one over, stick it there. So this is what you can do for extra turbo on the bottom of your wheels. And yeah, so +3 more turbo. If you have the room and for direction load for yourself, and you want to know where to put stuff, there you go. You can buff up your wheels a little bit more and give yourself some more turbo that way. So we have all these connections are basically maxed out on our wheels. So we want to get them all buffed up as much as possible. Give them more armor, give them more stuff, just to add more stuff, more power. That's what we want to see, right? For our tech that we have. Did it fit across there? No, they won't fit across. Never mind. I was just thinking about something to do for it, but that didn't work out. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, so that is the starter point of our build right here, and that's nice and simple, right? That is easy to put together for yourself. And we're using these wheels because of for a couple reasons. The 3 meter clearance is very nice to have, especially when you're trying to go over top of all these hilly mountain zones and stuff like that. But we want the the load on there and the traction. This wheel has it too, but it's not the same. It takes more load out of it too. They do perform differently. I think the spike wheel might perform a little bit better, but there is no connections on the top right there. There's just one. So you see one connection, and then on the top there, and only one on the front, on the side right there. So yeah, we're missing 2 connections that other wheel has. And the middle off-road wheel has that too, but the load is like half the load, right? And we can't see our load, and load's going to determine how fast our wheels are going to be working before they get slowed down, and we don't want to go slower. We'll use the turbo for our speed, and then we'll use this for our load and our traction on there, and worry about that a little bit more for our wheels. And nothing else compares over here for our other wheels that we have. They're all basically the same. We go to the armored wheels, which might seem a little bit good because they have high load and high speed, but they got no traction. They have limited connections also, and we don't have anything that has the higher clearance that does for our wheels, right? There's just nothing that's that big. Like these are the larger wheels, but they don't have the connections that we want in the right spot. It would be kind of okay to use, but we're missing that connection on the top there. That's too bad for us, because and it has no traction. So at the end of the day, that +5 armor is just not really worth it for our builds, for our wheels. So let's go into the next stage of our build. We'll go over here, and then we'll reload that gun one up there. Let's go then, whichever one it is, guns. That's the overheated version with small guns, right? So I overheated it. I got to do a couple more loadouts for myself, but yeah, we'll load it up here and go back to our build that we have, tractor beam and our little terrain manipulator. And yeah, we don't want to use missile launchers anymore. They work nice, but when you use these things, you can hit one of those plants that are really a pain in the ass in the snow biome. You can land a missile on top of them, and they blow up, but the plant doesn't take any damage. It's the stupidest thing ever. You have a nice rocket, you hit your target dead on, and it explodes, but the plant doesn't take any damage whatsoever. So yeah, let's not use those things anymore. And the sideways attacks. Sorry, I'm just talking too fast. The sideways attacks of our grenade launchers would be a little bit better, and then we can stick those anywhere that we feel like it, because we're going to get the turbo on there anyways, right? It's on our frames or added on there. So you see, I added some turbo on here on the side right here, so it's a weapons mount also. So yeah, the weapons mount gives me the turbo on the wheel, and I can use that to add the grenade launcher right there if I wanted to, right? So that would work out nicely, right? Sticking the grenade launchers on top of that extra turbo for myself. So yeah, now it's got plus 7 turbo total for itself for its buffs. It's a small buff, but it's better than nothing. And it's firing arc right there. Oops, I got K, not V. There, good firing arc. Yeah, it works nicely. Yeah, it's a good spot for them. But yeah, we just added the guns right here, and on the bottom we have our, let's move our tech up in the air a little bit. Yeah, on our guns right here, you can see all that repair stuff that I showed you at the start, using all 4 of those connections in the bottom, and having enough arc clearance for ourselves to actually move around. If we took this and moved it over here, we wouldn't get the double buffs. And stop turning sideways on me, thank you very much. God, this system sucks. Yeah, see, we lost all the arc, and that's one of the drawbacks. You need the arc, but this is hitting four of these versatile axles, so I'm getting the quad buffed on there for that for our build. And there was nothing else much added to this besides sticking guns on those nice weapon platforms that we have, right? So you just stick the guns on the weapons platform, add the battery packs and the storage, and we can add some more storage up here. It looks like we can fit 5 more storage on top if you really want to. It's not bad. We're at our capacity right now because we added some more things like this right here. But yeah, we don't need these little pulse furnaces. We can get rid of that stuff right there. We don't need those anymore. We just got to go over in the cold zone. If you didn't know, you can just add more stuff. Add more mining lasers. It'll go over your reactor capacity. You'll start to overheat, and then yeah, just keep bring some more with you. Just add some more. You'll start overheating, and then it's good to go. You'll just lose some recharge rate, and you lose some repair ability for your nanobyte repair. Just try not to get in the red. There's a nice sweet zone you can actually get to drive freely in the ice zone without actually freezing to death and taking damage and not having a cooler on there. But that that freed up some more cab efficiency for ourselves, that we can add some more stuff as you see fit. But yeah, these things are devastating. You fire 4 of them at once at long range, most stuff just dies in one shot. Especially with the cannons on here are really good for that close range stuff. Build it how you see fit. Add cannons up top here. You can add 4 of those double barrel cannons on there if you want, or you can just do the regular gun build because it doesn't really matter. These things are really low damage, but they have really good clearance ranges and stuff like that. So you can add a ton of them on there for your build. Anything else I add on here is just really nothing. There was nothing else I needed because of just the way I'm using these versatile axles and the buffing system on here because of the cab and all that kind of stuff. My wheels and everything like that have a ton of armor on them. I can always go in there and add some armor manually if I want to. Like this part right here is open and free. I can go ahead and stick some of these armor plates on there, and I can grab a silo instead. Go back there. Yeah, that's totally what I was pressing on there, right? That's totally where my mouse was on there. So let's go back there and do that again because we're just awesome at building. Let's go pick up that properly. I didn't pick it up properly again. I'm touching something behind it. Fucking awesome system. Fucking great. Fucking great. Now let's click on it. I didn't click on anything behind it again. Let's hit that K button and get rid of that arc so we can actually see there. And now we can start putting the stuff on there. And of course, we don't want to pick the double one right here, right? We don't want this one right here because, and cover up that zone up this way. We could do that, but I think that's going to wreck our firing arc, and I think that'll wreck the firing arc over here. Let's check it out. Actually, it didn't. It didn't actually affect our arc at all. So either way, we did it. So that's nice. So we can do that on there. We can't really do it this way, I think, on our gun right there. I think it's going to block that one for sure. Let's see. Does it block our cannons? Nope, it doesn't block our grenades. So we can do that and get the extra buff on there for our armor, because these things affect the armor, whatever they're attached to also. So yeah, the +5 modifier or +8. And it's just one connection, so we can't double it up, which kind of sucks, but we can do that if we want for our tech and have it that way. But I think it might be better to have it actually this way and protect that a little bit more, right? Since it's not actually affecting our arc. And then we have some, will affect in the middle one? That's a good question. Well, this little armor plate right here, that we can use the bigger one on, like why not, right? Put the bigger one on the inside, bigger one on the inside. If we want to tank ourselves up, get in there properly. Okay, you're right there, this way, and over. There you go. Did that affect my weapon arc? No, it did not. Nice. Sometimes it does. Sometimes if I suck off some armor nearby, it will actually affect your weapon arcs. But that's good to know that you can actually hit K and do that and get that extra armor. But we're a little bit over capacity, lost some energy regeneration. But yeah, not too bad. But yeah, now all this stuff is really armored up. what's only armored up is just the frame, because we couldn't actually armor this part up, but the frame got another +8 to armor to it also, and so did the wheel. And on the inside of it, inside of it touches the frame once again. So now our frame is nice and armored up, +18 armor on our frame by adding this little frontline defense system. And look at all the connections we have on the bottom here. We have a lot of connections. Look at all this stuff down here that we have that we can start buffing up there if we want to actually armor our frame up passively without actually doing stuff on the outside, so we have room for our guns. That's how the armor system works. And this a shield system, it sucks. It's a really bad and picky for its little arcs. The arcs are very small and they only work on the outside, and big guns like this will stop them from working, period, basically. So you couldn't even use them with these big guns and protect them. So it's kind of useless on that front. But yeah, you can modify your gun system as you see fit. If you don't think this is enough armor for your gun, clearly +4 armor is not a high number. You could always just sit there and take this gun and maybe move it back a step instead for yourself. And yeah, now it has less turbo and less stats on there. But if you want some armor, we can go to the bottom right here and stick an armor plate across the bottom part of it, right? So we have the extra room if we want to plate ourselves up there as we see fit. If you can get the connection out there properly, get the directions, go that way, turn, there you go. There you go, armor plated. Yeah, so that's +8 armor. So if you want to worry about tank on there, and now it has another 8 armor. But now, I even got a better firing arc because I got some room on it. So that's not a bad idea to do that, right? Because these guns side by side will block each other for moving around. See, there you go, wreck the arc. You can just do that and move them around. So yeah, I guess it's weird how the firing arcs can work sometimes. You just pick and choose as you see fit. But yeah, that's just something I'm not going to do for myself. Yeah, the nanobite repair that I have on the double buff on here is good, and the armor is good enough to survive most things at the end of the day. And that we're not even using the core system yet. It's like I got the 3 fusion cores right now. That's not very much, but I can add 2 more fusion reactors to here and get a +120 to my capacity. So yeah, that's a lot of armor or weapons I could add on here and storage and stuff like that to make my truck a little bit more versatile and interesting to play with. But yeah, this thing works very good. If you watched my other videos, you saw me driving it around and just plow through stuff easily, just ping stuff off and like shoot it from far away. Then that's not even using the grenades, which is really cheap and easy to do. But yeah, that is how you can just overpower everything and just run through, just raffle stomp your way through all these little techs you got to kill, and get a whole bunch of loot off of your stuff. Like, look at all that loot I got, armor I already did. Like, look at all that nice pretty strontium and tungsten I get to use. I would rather have the other ones too, though. But yeah, good enough. It's good enough for me for the moment. But there you have it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you learned a lot about building up your tech as you see fit. Because most of the stuff that I got right here, you can get pretty early on in the game. Like the frames, I think you can get pretty early on. At least these frames. These ones here, not so much. So you're a little bit limited on that department because these are a little bit rarer for the resources for harder tech. But you can get by with some other things and how you modify your system as you make your tech bigger and bigger. But yeah, a starting frame like this is a good idea. So try and get those Kestrel frames up and running because they're just so versatile on how you can build up your tech as you see fit. Because there's lots of different ways you can do this. I think there's like a 5 room in here, right? On the Kestrel frame, and put wheels on the inside of the frame and have them close together, close enough to use these weapon mounts, and use that to get just 3 across on the inside too. That would be a nice system to use instead of having those. If you don't have these, right, try and get your wheels a 3x3 system or whatever across. But that's long enough of a video today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.